but it is up to the discretion of the speaker. Firstly, I would like to give information on the amicus curiae. The amicus curiae, also known as the TAQ, is the brainchild of several legal luminaries and eminent personalities across the country and the globe. The Amicus Curiae is a dream online platform which aims at proliferating the legal knowledge and providing an ingenious understanding of the with cognizance of various fields of law to make sure that the legal knowledge and experience it penetrates to every nook and corner of the ever-growing legal fraternity. Through ambitious and studious legal brains across the country, the Amicus Curiae aims at providing valuable contribution to the contemporary legal issues, along with the development in the omnipresent field of law. We are also registered under the Indian Partnership Act 1932 and Ministry of MSME, Government of India. The Amicus Curiae currently is the eighth largest legal website, and we are connected to more than 20,000 law students from across 80 plus law schools in India. Now, I would like to introduce our esteemed speaker. Velentina Brahma, originally from Kokrajhar, Assam, is a graduate of biomedical sciences from Delhi University. She is currently a PhD scholar at the Center of Studies uh, in Science Policy, Jawaharlal Nehru University. She has been the youth representative at the Indian Youth Delegation to Russia at 2017 and BRICS Youth Summit 2020. She finds a calling in working for and the female populace of the country and beyond. She played an instrumental role in the making of Ritumati Abhiyan, a menstrual health and hygiene campaign, which was a success in the Delhi slum. A student activist at heart since her college days, Valentina on campus has constantly fought for the rights of students. She also ran for the post of vice president in the JNU student elections in the year 2015. Currently, she is the media secretary at Y20 India. Ma'am, it is an honor to have you on board with us today. Now, I would like to pass it to you.
Good evening, all of you. I hope that I'm audible to everybody, and it is actually a pleasure to be here with you all, guys. And uh, yeah, so let's get on with the topic. I am actually a media secretary at Youth 20, the official engagement group of G20, and Youth 20 has basically chosen five themes for on five agendas on which the negotiation and the deliberations will be taking place um, in the final summit at Varanasi of this year in August. Uh, but the topic that we are going to talk about today is advancing on gender equality and addressing gender issues at G20 community. So basically, gender equality and gender issues is not one of the themes in the Youth 20, but out of all the five themes that we have taken, whether it is future of work, industries 4.0, innovation, 21st century skills, whether it is climate change or sustainability, whether it is youth and democracy, the participation of youth in democracy, whether it is health, well being, and sports, or peace building. All these five themes we have considered the discourse and the narrative of women led development in all these five themes because if we talk about future of work industries 4.0, it is equally important that it is noticeable and we cannot ignore the contribution of women entrepreneurs. Or when we talk about development of skills in the 21st century, there is a number of skills, and there is a lot focus on initiatives and schemes that focuses on development of skills for women entrepreneurs and women skill workers. So it obviously there is a sub theme that encompasses these factors as well: gender equality and gender gap. And when we talk about climate change, obviously we have a lot of uh, women in this field who work, whether they work in the field of advocacy, whether they work in the field of activism. They are all they are all also involved in this sector. So These are all uh, like they are also engaged and involved in all of our themes in Youth 20. So whenever we are having a discussion, like all our consultation events, whether we are having a talk series, whether we are having our official consultation event, or in our negotiation also process also, we are trying to have a panel. We are trying to get speakers that um, give like a gender neutral panel, and also we are trying to get speakers, not women speakers who have contributed uh, largely in these five themes as well. So even in our panels and even in our discussions, we are trying to have that, we are trying to see it through the lens of gender equality. So, what is gender equality? So, when we are talking about gender equality, it is that all genders should have equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities. Right. So, when we talk about gender equality, we feel that we have um, advanced to a certain level when it comes to gender equality, but still we are not there yet. Right. Like if we talk about 10 years ago when we were talking about gender equality, when we were talking about this gender gap in terms of education or politics or employment, we were uh, far behind. We were lacking way behind. But if we are talking about 21st centuries, in this year 2023 specifically, we can say that no, we have somewhere advanced in gender equality. You know, the in our workforce also, okay, we were lacking behind, but now we have 20% workforce of women on all our top level uh, on all our top level sectors, organized sectors. So somewhere we somewhere because of this awareness, or somewhere because of the initiative that are taken by the civil societies or the policymakers or the government, we can say that we are progressing somewhere on that, because we are talking when we talk about gender gap. So there are basically three parameters that we can specifically talk about. There is educational attainment, there is occupational segregation, and there is work experience. So specifically, if we are going to talk about the the Indian community, we were having uh, first of all, a very bad sex ratio. The gender ratio was not that good. But last year, we have seen that the gender ratio has crossed our expectations, right? So basically, whatever the initiatives the government took, whether it was Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, or the civil societies that were doing their work, like the NGOs, they were creating mass awareness about this female infanticide, female feticide. And I know because during my college days, I was also part of this women development cell, and there we used to create awareness about female infanticide by going door to door, having street plays. So all these things, when they correlate, it actually shows results in few years. So so all our actions have cumulatively given us a results where now we are at a much better gender ratio than we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Similarly, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ के बारे में जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो we are also opening doors for women to go to school and attain education. See, even today, we have areas where women might not be girls, young girls might not be able to have education as easily as in the urban areas. So there are a lot of rural areas where even today, recently I was talking to a colleague who was working in Chhattisgarh for this Ritumati Abhiyan, and it was very heartbreaking to know that even in a place in Chhattisgarh, that place in Chhattisgarh, in 15 kilometers of range, 15 to 25 kilometers of range, students were not having higher secondary schools. So, in order to attain education, so in order to attain higher education, they are supposed to travel as far as 25 kilometers of distance. And in that area, in all the schools, whether it was a government school or whether it was a private school, they were not having um, workshops for menstrual health hygiene. So there are a lot of places you can say, and it was a tier 2 city. So even tier 2 cities are not having basic education facilities and basic awareness drives for young girls. So obviously, if we are to go to this groundwork, fieldwork, and learn about the lack of facilities that the girls are having, so obviously there is a lot of work that is still yet to be done in these areas. You know, हम लोग जो हैं जो अभी अर्बन एरियाज में हैं और हमें बहुत सारी फैसिलिटीज जो है वो बहुत इजीली मिल जाती है, नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट बट प्राइवेट सेक्टर्स के कारण भी, क्योंकि यहाँ की इकोनॉमी बहुत अलग वर्क करती है रूरल इकोनॉमी से। रूरल इकोनॉमी में इश्यूज अलग हो सकते हैं, उनके जो बेसिक डे टू डे नीड्स हैं वो अलग हो सकती हैं, और अर्बन एरियाज के बेसिक डे टू डे नीड्स बहुत अलग हो सकती हैं। इसीलिए एक तरीके का एक डिस्पैरिटी हम देख सकते हैं, देयर इज इन इक्वालिटी देख सकते हैं, और वही इन इक्वालिटी जो है वो जेंडर में भी एक रोल प्ले कर रही है। सो इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी और जवाहरलाल यूनिवर्सिटी वेयर वी आर फ्रॉम, 60% of the girls population will be there who are taking this higher education in these institutions, right? तो हम अर्बन सिटीज की बात करें तो यहाँ पे एक अच्छी पॉपुलेशन है गर्ल्स की जो कि अभी हायर एजुकेशन में आ रही है, यू नो, जो अभी ग्रेजुएशन कर रही है, एंड दे माइट इवन गो टू पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन एंड देन डू पीएचडीज एज वेल। बट यही सिमिलर काउंट जो है वो हमें स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटीज में नहीं मिलेगा, है ना, और ये हमें लोकल यूनिवर्सिटीज में नहीं मिल लोकल कॉलेजेस में नहीं मिलेंगे मोस्ट प्रोबेबली, बिकॉज दैट इज बिकॉज वो चीज़ें वहाँ पे अभी भी कुछ फैक्टर्स वहाँ पे अभी भी हैं, जैसे कि यू नो मे बी दे आर नॉट, they do not have that vision that what are they going to do after they get this education, or how it will affect their future. Maybe they give more priority to marriages still, and maybe they feel कि भाई now if education is a must, because through our initiative and schemes we have been able to convey कि a girl should have this basic literacy where she can read or write, but maybe many families still feel कि even if she learns how to read and write, and it is important that she knows how to read and write, it does not have anything to do with the future career, because ultimately she has to get married and live with her in-laws. So because of that, uh, there may not be there may not be a consistent effort to let the girl child go for higher education. So that kind of awareness, to focus on that and awareness, we need to create other initiatives. We need to reach to those villages. We need to reach to their families. Ki how it is going to affect the future of the girl if she is going to be more aware. There is another mentality, since you are all legal students, so you must know कि भाई ये चीजें आती हैं जहाँ पे बोला जाता है कि if a woman is more aware of her rights, she is going to be more bold. And if she is going to be more bold, then because of that progressiveness, she is not going to be someone who is going to look after the family. ठीक है, ये एक परसेप्शन लोअर मिडिल क्लास और मिडिल क्लास में डाली जाती है, बिकॉज women are uh, very aware of their rights when they are in urban cities, and especially if they go to a good college, right? बहुत डिफरेंस आ जाता है आपके एक्सपोजर में जब आप एक बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटी, एक पायनियर यूनिवर्सिटी में जाते हो, तो आपकी अवेयरनेस और कॉन्शियस लेवल में एक बहुत डिफरेंट लेवल होता है रेदर देन आपके कॉन्शियसनेस में जब आप एक लोकल यूनिवर्सिटी या लोकल कॉलेज में जाते हो और आपको उतना एनकरेज नहीं किया जाता कि गो फॉर दिस वर्कशॉप, गो फॉर दैट इवेंट, गो टू दैट extra course, go for that certificate course. So that makes a lot of difference because that encouragement is not there. So this will also lead to your the perception कि भाई what kind of job you want to go for. फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक टाइम पे ये बोला जाता था women are not supposed to go for this education sector कि नहीं भाई क्या करेगी पढ़ा लिखा लिखा कर वहां नहीं जा सकते हैं बट अभी जो मिडिल टाउन फैमिलीज की मेंटेलिटी है दे थिंक दैट ओके बीएड बिकॉज अभी क्या है अ लॉट ऑफ गर्ल्स आर एनरोल्ड इन बीएड एजुकेशन आप एक स्टैटिस्टिक देखोगे तो अर्लियर लाइक आई एम कंपेयरिंग 10 years का टाइम लाइन तो बिफोर 10 years नॉट मेनी गर्ल्स यूज टू डू बीएड. But now when we the B.Ed ke courses, especially I'm talking about Delhi NCR because that's my area of study. So I've seen that there is a number increase in the number of girls who are now pursuing B.Ed. क्योंकि अब ये मेंटालिटी आ गई है कि एक स्कूल में 8 to 2 o'clock की job is easier for a woman because then she has to come back to house and then look after the family and do all the household chores. So it is very convenient for her. So abhi they are saying that maybe they should go for teaching. So teaching is the best sector, best field for her to make use of her degree. So a lot of girls are now, a lot of families are now encouraging girls. It's not the girl. Girls might feel कि भाई I can teach in Jawaharlal Nehru University also, but then the parents will be like, no, if they do not know how the working hours work for a university, then they will be like, wait, you don't know. Maybe you will be busy 9 to 5. Maybe you will be busy 9 to 10. So just go for school because we know that by school mein after 2 o'clock you are going to be free. So that's how it affects this mentality also affects how women are choosing their work and how their area of work, how they want to make use of the education that they are getting. So this is one example. Then there is also another example. There was one paper that I was working on, and the paper was on how the girls are. The paper was on current attainment, how much recognition a woman was getting in their work field, and how it was helping them to grow in their uh, work. So we all know that somewhere we have this. Okay, we have all heard about the feminist theory of personalist politics. Right. So obviously, in a woman's life, a lot of things play a very important role, and that affects their not only their personal life but their professional life. Whether and when they are going to get married, whether and when they are going to have children, everything plays a role in their career, in their professional life, as well as in their personal life. It's all interlinked, right? So, uh, the paper that I was working on was specifically on the girls who were pursuing biological sciences in India, and there are a lot of girls that are inclined towards the biological sciences. Like when I was graduating, at that time a lot of girls took medical sciences during their 11th and 12th, and then whether or not they went into a medical school, they chose graduation in courses that are inclined towards biology like zoology, botany, life sciences, and then later on they would pursue post graduation. So, for example, if I say that there are 24 girls in graduation in a batch, then maybe in post graduation that number would reduce to a 15, but still a significant number as compared to boys. But out of those 15, maybe only 5 would went through PhD because we all know that there are a lot of years that you take in PhD. Like it's almost like 7 years or 8 years of research if you're in biological sciences. There is a lot of lab work. So due to that lab work, you are going to get engaged a lot in your in your professional life, and you might not be able to give a lot in your personal life. So then, if you're going to go for your professional life, if you're going to take the career of a researcher, or you want to go into teaching in a high university, and you're also going to get a lab where you are further going to do your research. You're going to take more students under you as your PhD students. So when out of those five, suppose only one woman would take the career of being a biological researcher and a faculty at some department. So that is how there is a gradual decrease in the number of women who goes higher and higher up in the rank. So there is an award. So this award is for scientists who have done pioneer work in their field. So this award is given every year, and when I studied this, how many women have, like, it was a 5 year period when I was studying. So in the year of 2018, no, sorry, 2019 was the only year in the past 5 years that one woman have achieved that award. So the role of award and recognition is very important in a person's life, right? So if a woman is not given significant amount of recognition and contribution, so obviously the way a psychology of a woman and the way we have been, uh, you know, the sense of responsibility towards everyone in our family. So the way we have been conditioned, if there is not enough recognition, so obviously higher up in our career we would feel that it is not so important to be working so hard for something that we're not going to get recognition for. So that was the outcome of that paper. So even as we, even if as women pursue a career, there are a lot of factors when the how and when that woman would actually achieve achieve the highest level of rank. So this is what is happening in all other fields, whether it is education, whether it is this employment in some university or teaching, or whether it is a political career. Because we have seen that right now there is 14% of women in the Lok Sabha, right? Politics में भी same चीज होती है. The There is not a lot of recognition in that field, and when you're talking about politics, of course there's other factors as well. There's name calling, cat calling, there's accusations, allegations, and then when it's a woman, there is a different kind of allegation. So it's very difficult when a woman is not recognized for the work that she has done to carry on with that field. इसलिए हम पॉलिटिक्स में भी देखते हैं कि अभी क्या है राइट नाउ व्हेन देयर इज you can see abhi jo hai political parties में, if I name BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, both these parties, we can see that there is a continued effort to show that they are recognizing more and more women in the politics. So they are, bringing in more women in the cabinet. They are giving more responsibilities to women politicians, to show that, not just to show, but to encourage more women in politics. So that is like a scheme, an initiative. So it is important that there is not just women on the board. Hi, can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, I got a call.
Yeah, we just.
Yeah. Sorry. Actually, I was trying to connect with my this pad, but I could not connect it through my iPad, so I had to connect through my phone, unfortunately. So there's going to be a little bit of disturbance in between. So, to continue that, for a woman to go to the higher rank, recognition is important. And politics, maybe nowadays, a lot of initiatives are taken by the political parties themselves. So, maybe uh, there's no significant causation for it, but there's a correlation because obviously there is a lot of awareness. The correlation could be that because the awareness, right, because we are becoming more and more open as a society due to the social media campaigns that are going on, that now every agency is trying to incorporate this concept of gender equality and motivating women and encouraging women to own their leadership in their fields. So that could be one of the reasons. So we have talked about education, we have talked about employment, we are so there's political awareness also nowadays and motivation encouragement political field also. And this another very important field, and that field we have taken in our youth 20 agendas also, that is health and sports. So when we are talking about health, so you know, if we talk particularly about India, we have a lot of women who have contributed in the field of health, and we have mass participation of women in health sector, whether it's nursing, whether it's the technical field, and whether it is the when we are talking about the doctors that are there. So, but the issue is that a lot of focus was not given and has still not been given to the women health. For example, we know that the सबसे major बीमारी जो है जो अभी महिलाओं में मिलती है हमें भारत के अंदर वो है आयरन की कमी, बेसिकली लैक ऑफ आयरन, so anemia. So a lot of women are suffering from anemia, but there is not, हम जब रिसर्च की बात करते हैं या कुछ, तो देर इज कोई कोई सिग्निफिकेंट रिसर्च अनीमिया की तरफ नहीं है, कोई इम्पोर्टेंट रूट कॉज इसका क्या है, या फिर बिकॉज एवरीबडी सेज दैट इट इज ड्यू टू द लैक ऑफ आयरन, बट देर आर सेवरल फैक्टर्स why there is an iron deficiency in a person, right? So there is proper is not, because recently I was going through this, there are a lot of feminist advocates and activists are going through are creating this buzz about the side effects of birth control pills, right? So इसका दोनों का एक comparative analysis अगर मैं करूं, so they are now saying that birth control uh, pills are also coming up for men, but when women were supposed to have this birth control, women are supposed to have this birth control pills, there is not a lot of research around the effects and side effects of birth control pills. But now that there are men, that now that there is this discovery or this sorry, this invention of birth control pills for men, there is a lot of research around the effects and the side effects of birth control pills for men. So the idea is similar, that in the area of research also, when we're talking about anemia, so there is not a lot of research around anemia, that what are the genes that are causing this effect? Why particularly women are being affected by this lack of iron more than the men? So if there is, because research से ही वो discourse create होता है, whether it's science or whether it's social science. So it is all connected to research. So if there is not a proper research in this area, so obviously there is not a lot of advocacy for this area also. The only treatment that there is कि भाई ठीक है, you can go, you can have these iron pills and these iron pills is going to help you. But India जैसे country में, do you think that a woman who is living in, for example, Meghalaya, in a village in Meghalaya, have this awareness that I'm supposed to have these iron pills? Or do you even think that they will go to a doctor for such issues? No, because हमारा सबसे last resort होता है that we go to a Western medicine, that we go to a allopathic doctor. The first resort is in our home only. If we are okay, if we are feeling weakness, we'll sleep. If we feel that we are not energetic enough, we'll have some food. If we feel that we're having cold, we'll drink hot water, we'll drink haldi wala doodh. So these are our first resorts. This is preventive medicine, and that is how we are being bought and brought up in our homes. So if these factors are also not correlated with other factors of health, how health is being perceived in our villages, how preventive medicine is perceived in our villages, how our allopathic medicine, this medicine treatments are perceived, and if all these are not, if there is, if all these are not studied together, then the solution could not come. We cannot just rely on the Western concepts here. You cannot just rely on one particular theory or one particular concept. We have to correlate it and connect it with what we are having here, right in the heart of our country, because the solution is going to come from the heart of this country only, and the heart lies not in the urban areas, but actually the two-tier cities and villages and rural areas. So, because major population जो है वो वहीं रहती है. So if we are going to study, we have to connect all these studies. So that is why the promotion on encouragement of interdisciplinary studies as well. Now the government is also focusing on interdisciplinary research, like how to connect Ayurveda with the allopathic medicine and then come out with a solution. Because maybe today we do not give enough recognition to Ayurveda, but there was a time when that was the only treatment that was available in our country. So obviously we have to give them its due credit. So that's so with that we come to this area of research, interconnected research, interdisciplinary research, and how we should be looking for solutions toward all the problems that we are having in our society. Now we should talk about initiatives and awareness that are being done by everybody. So obviously now there are different issues that have got attention of different activists, and there are different advocacy groups for them, and that are influencing our policymakers, that are influencing our industries, that are influencing everything. So even our political awareness and political consciousness. जैसे अभी there was also a lot of talk about period leave, whether period leave should be there, should not be there. But there are a lot of companies, even companies like Swiggy and Zomato, that have adopted this policy of period leave. So menstrual hygiene, this thing about period leave, so that is one issue, right? And when we talk about gender gap, so education is a different issue, and so we have to look towards all this issue with different lenses, right? And then provide solutions for all these problems with different lenses. There are also one more factor when we talk about gender issues in India and other countries, the issue of the legal rights. So as I've already stated before that, if a woman is given encouragement to pursue her studies further, and if she has more exposure, then she knows more about her legal rights, right? So obviously so obviously if we're talking in a country like India, women do have a lot of rights because India have adopted its constitution from Europe. Okay, but अगर हम कंपेयर करें वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड को और इंडिया को, यूरोप की बात कर रहे हैं या फिर अमेरिका की बात कर रहे हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली वुमेन की एक इंट्रिकेट सोसाइटी जो है हमारी इंडियन सोसाइटी है, इंट्रिकेट इंडियन सोसाइटी है, उसमें देयर वर फ्यू राइट्स दैट वर ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल टू द वुमेन ऑफ इंडिया. And if I have to quote and go back a lot of years, even before when they were invasion by the Mughals, then we can during that time also that there were a lot of women that about whom it has been written in our Vedas and about whom it has been written in our scriptures that they were economically independent, they were educated as well, There were philosophers like Gargi, there were philosophers like Maitri. So they were having education also, they were having economic rights also, and they were having property rights also. So if we have these instances being spoken about in our Vedas, so obviously something must have gone wrong in between when we were colonized, when we were invaded, that the society got distorted a lot. A major part of the population got distorted. Like only the privileged people only in the privileged households, the women of the household must have gotten the rights, or the privileged household that had more awareness about uh, who the more awareness, who had more respect towards the women, you can say. But then there were certain distortions that distorted every household, large chunks, like a group, a village, you can say. So in a village, all households were affected. That led to this distortion where women started losing their economic rights, started losing their educational rights. They lost their property rights, and that, and it also led to the encouragement of child marriages, because there was a report that had claimed that child marriages are not prevalent in all the states in India, but the political state we're talking about today. It was only in certain areas where, just say, specifically the northern areas, if we talk about this, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh. So these are the areas that have seen most of the child marriages. Similarly, if we talk about Sati Pratha was basically said to have been committed by upper caste Brahmins in some areas of Bengal, not the entire country. Right. Similarly, there were other practices that were prevalent in specific parts, but now, because of migration, we can say that scattered pieces of these um, practices along northern India and some of the this central India. So because of a lot of migration, because earlier also there were a lot of marriage alliances that used to happen between North and South India and North and Northeastern India. So obviously, because of marriage alliances, also certain practices got transferred and shifted from one place to different parts of India. But still, most of the practices that, like sati was most prevalent somewhere around Bengal, and child marriage was mostly practiced somewhere in the north of India. So that's how, so cultural practices have been shifting and distorting, and what we see today is a lot of, it's it's the result of many and many of years of colonization and many years of invasion. So we have to now look for solutions that actually encompasses a lot of these factors, along with a lot of westernization that is here, not because of colonization, but because we are living in a world that is digitalized a lot. Right now we know what is happening in Turkey. We also know that of how Talibans are affecting the Afghans. We know what is happening in Belarus. So because of the dictatorship, so now we have a lot of information with us. We are living in a world, there is a lot of information, and in the digital world also, now they are creating a society where where women are more vulnerable than men. Right, even in the digital world, women are more vulnerable than men. There is stalking and online abuse. There is sexual harassment online also, in the meta world. So a lot of these things are also coming in. So this cyber crime. So when we talk about this addressing gender issues, so the gender issues is not only in our physical world now, it's also in the digital world. So we have to incorporate laws, we have to incorporate initiatives and schemes for that also. So that is one of the uh, uh, I think one of the takeaway that I would be giving to an audience that is actually full of law students, so you guys know more about how prevent. Sorry, I got a call again. So as I was speaking, so obviously we are moving towards a very different world than we were even 2 years ago. Okay, we do still do not have proper cybercrime laws as well. So as I'm speaking to an audience who are legally aware, who are law students, so obviously a lot of solutions could come from this audience as well. Because if you guys will have more specific and technical and legal workshops on such issues, then you might be able to come up with a solution and come up with laws, because we need new laws. We actually need more specific laws, and we do not have any specific laws when it comes to laws in India, and specifically that caters to the Indian audience. So obviously, we need more and more people, more and more advocates for this, for these areas. So with this, I would like to just end for today, and maybe we could have, like, I would love to come again and speak more about this topic, because even though I'm not someone who has taken a course on gender equality, I'm not someone who is a law graduate, but I have been on the field for quite some time, and I have worked on a lot of women related issues. Like, I was a president of women development cell. Then I also initiated the Ritumati Abhiyan for this campaign was for menstrual health hygiene. I have been to slums in Delhi. I have talked to a lot of women on the ground. I've talked to young girls in the ground who have, it's very nice to see that there are girls in these slums areas who want to gain education, who want to become something. Like, when you go there, you meet girls, young girls who say that they want to join the police. So when you hear such things, so obviously it's very encouraging and motivating to keep working in this area. So it's just my experience that I have actually been speaking to you guys about. It's more about what I have gained through experience rather than what I have gained through uh, learning, or what I've gained in a classroom. It's more about what I've gained on the field than in the classroom. So I hope this, like, I could give you something to think about and something to work on in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. We are much obliged to have you today. So everyone, now a doubt session will be there. So you guys can raise your hands and then I'll pick you and you can ask your questions to ma'am. You guys can raise your hands or you can just speak if you have any doubts. Or you can type it as well. It's
Is there any question I'm
yeah. You guys
really
can
happy to
type as
answer.
well. It's
I'm sorry I had to log into my phone.
no,
My
it's
tab is not working.
yeah, it's all right. Can I ask you one question regarding this? How much would you believe that the patriarchal setup of our society, regarding the education point which you covered, how much
Yeah.
does that how much does that influence the change in the villages?
Um,
Because I'm also someone who lives in rural, semi-urban area, like complete, like it's in middle of rural and urban. So that's the question.
Obviously, if we're talking about the education sector particularly, you know, this our society that is living there is more comfortable in sending boys to for higher education to a different city than girls, right? So that is, if you're talking about patriarchal mindset and the patriarchal aspect to it, that is one aspect that could be covered. Because if there is um, अगर हमारे पास हायर एजुकेशन की इंस्टीट्यूशंस हमारे अपने शहर में नहीं होंगे या फिर हमारे 10 किलोमीटर्स के रेंज में नहीं होंगे तो इट वुड बी डिफिकल्ट फॉर गर्ल्स टू गो आउट एंड टेक हायर एजुकेशन because somewhere it had become a conscious mindset that girls are not safer in other cities. They might be unsafe, something would happen to them. It is better if she gets education in our city only. Whenever I meet a girl who is doing her undergraduation, then I always tell her that, "Bhai, if you have done your undergraduation in one city, say for example in Pune, then you must get your higher education, post graduation from Delhi or from Hyderabad. Because living in a new city actually gives you a lot of perspective and a lot of exposure. That does not come when you are staying in your own city and living with your family. But somewhere down the line, the families have this feeling in their heart that it's not safe somewhere else. So, but such kind of such kind of questions do not come when it's a son, when it's a male. So for their sons, they might not have such notion, but for a lot of women, they have such notion. So that's where patriarchy comes into play.
All right. Ma'am, we have some questions in the chat box. The first by Kiran is, ma'am, how we have to maintain balance between theoretical and practical work? It is the first question which we have received.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. If it's a message from this, let me go and which question are you talking about? Am I audible?
Ma'am, you are now audible. 10 seconds
Okay.
ago, you were not.
So I did not get the question. Which question are you talking about?
Kiran, you can unmute and then you can further deliberate upon the question. We can also take this question later. We can skip to the next question by Mansi. What are the reasons? I need to say which one is important.
I didn't get the question. Into the message to the question.
Ma'am, could you repeat?
Just turning the video off. I think there is some disturbance. So, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you're now audible.
Okay. So I was saying that I was not able to hear the question, so I'll just go to the messages first and then read the question. Which question are you talking about?
Ma'am, the first question, ma'am, how we have to maintain balance between theoretical and practical work, and Kiran means to say that which one is important.
Okay, which one is important, theoretical work or practical work?
Yeah, that's the question.
So see, theories were built uh, to get an end result, get an ideal end result. Basically, when we talk about theories, um, it it the theories are always developed when we take one thing as constant and the other things as variable, right? But in our society, in our practical life, everything is everything varies. Like there is no constant, right? In our life,
Mama, are you here? Guys, we can wait for 5 minutes. She told that she had some network issues. Mama, are you there now?
I'm trying to rejoin. Have I have I joined?
Yes, yes, ma'am, you're audible as well.
Okay, okay, okay. I suppose there is some network issues,
Yes,
but I hope I will be able to join this meeting as far as I could take it.
ma'am.
Yeah, so I was talking about the theoretical and the practical
Yes, ma'am.
work. So, so obviously in our theory, we have to keep one thing constant, but practical life is not constant. There are a lot of variables. So when we move into different fields, we will realize that different fields have different variables, and during our field work, you will realize that different field work will need different approaches, and different approaches will yield you different results as well. So you need to have a theory with you, of course. You need to understand the theory completely in order to work in your practical life, and in order to work in your field work. But there is going to be a lot of uh, other factors that you have to take into consideration when you are on the ground, and when you are doing the practical work. And every theory actually comes from the practical work. So if you're talking about the importance, then obviously you have to give more importance to what you experience and what you're gaining from the field. The field work is more important. That is what I feel. Am I audible? Because I just got a notification right now that I might not be.
Ma'am, you are audible. Ma'am, you are muted.
While I was speaking.
We can go to one last question from Jigyasa. That is, what significance do social and cultural norms play in the India's persistent gender inequality? It is a very good question.
Can you WhatsApp me the question?
Um,
If,
uh,
if Mansi could just give me The question on the text, because I'm not able to go to my messages section. I think
All right, all right.
there is some network issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just read from there and then answer because the audio is not visible and I'm not able to go to the messages section as well. Okay, what significance do social and cultural norms play in India's persistent gender inequality?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very, if I have to say, it's a very good question because obviously our cultural practices in our society obviously plays a great. So we are a very diverse society, right? We do not have synonymity in our cultural practices also. We do not have synonymity in our social practices also. There is a lot of caste difference now. There are a lot of different cultural practices due to different religious practices that we follow. So obviously, um, it does play a very important and significant role if it comes to gender inequality because in one cultural practice, mm, maybe a woman is not supposed to do certain things while in another maybe they might not be able they might be given greater rights than the other cultural practice than the other religion or than the caste. Mm. For example, if we talk about in a lot of places, the women are not allowed to enter the mosque. And when we talk about temples, then also there is a cultural practice that in certain places in India, women are not supposed to enter during their menstruation period. And then there is also a cultural practice in India when we talk about temples that there is a Kamakhya Devi temple in Guwahati where the temple is closed because it is considered that the goddess in the temple is menstruating. So we are not supposed to disturb her. So cultural practices do play a significant role. And cultural practice would vary because of the caste also, and it could vary because of the religion also. And India being a diverse country, we have so many practices. So gender equality could come because of that, but then obviously we need to have certain um, rights that could cater to such practices, right? Maybe uniform civil code could do it. It might help, bring some uniformity in these practices,
Agree.
so that because of the practice there is no hamper in the rights, right? Because sometimes the practices could be good, sometimes the practices could be bad, but it should not devoid a person from her basic rights. Is there any other question?
While there are so many questions, I would like to uh, come to call it a day. And regarding to everyone, on behalf of the Amicus Career, I'd like to express my sincerest thanks to your presence, ma'am, in this session. Your insights were and expertise were invaluable and greatly appreciated. Ma'am, we feel fortunate enough to have had the opportunity to hear from you today. Once again, thank you to everyone for your time and the passion for the session. We are grateful for the opportunity to have had you as our guest speaker as well, and we hope to have a chance to work with you again in the future. Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. And I'm really sorry for the network issues. I don't know what is happening today.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
completely